mid-range smartphone from Tecno, the Tecno Spark 10 Pro. Looking at the price tag and the specs, is this a really good phone for the price and what it offers? I am Moses Wawero of the Tech Wars. Let's find out on our Tecno Spark 10 Pro review. And before we continue, today I'm sounding a little bit different. Don't worry, I caught a cold and everything will be okay. Yeah, I'm on medication. First things first, let's talk about the design and the build quality. So the design of the Tecno Spark 10 Pro is an eye catcher, which is really amazing. So before we continue, the Tecno Spark 10 Pro comes in two colors, the Starry Black and the Pearl White. Today we're going to be looking at the Pearl White. Love the color white, it pops out and it screams like royalty. The first thing when you pick up this phone, you're going to notice that this phone is big, extremely big, and it's big in a good way. Both the back and the front are made out of glass, but the frame is made out of plastic, which is such a bummer. I was hoping for maybe, let's say, something like aluminum, but for the price tag that this phone is being priced at, I am okay to go with a plastic frame, even though the plastic frame feels cheaper. You can tell that this phone takes inspiration from the likes of iPhone 12s and above because of how the edges are flat, which is a good thing depending on the person that you're asking. It gives this phone this trendy look. Just for the love of maths, let me mention something on the dimensions of this phone so anyone can have a rough estimate of how tall or how big this phone is going to feel in their hand. 168.4 times 76.2 times 8.4 millimeters. And also the weight of this phone is around 208 grams, which is 7.34 ounces. So when I felt this phone the first time in my hand, it has a hefty feel, which means quality, and I really loved how it felt in my hand. The screen technology that Tecno Spark 10 Pro uses is the IPS LCD, which is a 90Hz refresh rate panel, and the size of the display is 6.8 inches with a screen to body ratio of 85.6%. The chunky bezels are found at the bottom, which are uneven when you look at the screen on this phone, which gives it a very cheap look, and I really don't like the chin having such a big, ugly, massive bezel. I would prefer it to be uniform, which will give this phone a very premium look. So the screen resolution of this phone is 1080 by 2460 pixels, which is crisp, with a PPI density of 395, which is impressive for such a mid-range phone. At the bottom, we have the 3.5mm audio jack, USB Type-C for charging the phone, and a mono firing speaker, which is terrible. I was hoping for a stereo system or a stereo speaker for this phone. I had higher expectations only to be disappointed by a single bottom firing speaker in 2023. This is not good for this phone. The fingerprint is side mounted, which is on the power button, which is good somehow. I appreciate that the fingerprint is side mounted because I think it's a good design, gives this phone a premium and modern look compared to when the fingerprint is at the back. Tecno Spark 10 Pro comes with Android 13. On top of it is the iOS 12.6, which is the skin that Tecno uses on its phone. The skin is heavily bloated with a lot of games and unnecessary applications that are pre-installed on this device. But the good thing is that some of those applications can be uninstalled and free up the memory that these applications are taking. The MediaTek Helio G88, which is a 12nm chip, is the one that is powering this phone. And again, I wasn't impressed when Tecno used the Helio G88 because this chip came out like in 2020. The 12nm chip, I don't believe it's going to age well with this phone, given that it already came out 3 years ago. This means that this phone maximally can last you somewhere between 1 to 2 years depending on the usage. Along the way, this phone is going to show up some lags. Don't get me wrong, the Helio G88 SoC, it's a good chip with a great performance which can run games pretty well if you're a gamer and can do all the tasks that you need to do. The Helio G88 SoC is paired up with an 8GB of RAM, which is good for the phone. This means that applications that use a lot of RAM are going to be sorted. Tecno Spark 10 Pro comes with an 18-watt charger. So the 18-watt charger is a downgrade for this phone, because for the same price of this phone you will be able to get the likes of the Redmi Note 12 with a 33-watt charger. Using the 18-watt charger to charge the 5000 milliamps of battery on this phone is going to take up some time, and this being 2023, there are chargers that are capable to charging your phone even for less than 15 minutes. The main selling point of the Tecno Spark 10 Pro is its dual 50 megapixels f1.4 camera. The main shooter is the 50 megapixels camera. This means that both the wide angle camera and the main cameras are going to be shooting images which are almost similar. I don't know why they included a 0.08 megapixels depth camera. For me, I think that is not the way to go. Some features about this camera is that we have dual LED flash with a HDR and panorama. The Tecno Spark 10 Pro shoots the videos at 2K, that is 1440p at 30 frames per second, and also at 1080p at 30 frames per second. This was such a bummer to me, especially as a content creator. I was hoping for 4K. With the 4K, you're able to shoot larger and you can crop into what you deem necessary during video editing. So for the selfie camera, there is a single cutout in front of the glass where the 32 megapixels wide camera sits. The 32 megapixels camera is also able to shoot at 2K, that is 1440p at 30 frames per second, and also at 1080p at 30 frames per second, just like the back camera. So here are some photo samples of the pictures that I took using the Tecno Spark 10 Pro. These pictures are crisp and good looking, even though sometimes the saturation is overdone, but these images come out looking crisp. So before we finish this video, let's talk about the miscellaneous items or features that are available in the Tecno Spark 10 Pros. The Bluetooth version is 5.0 and it also has NFC near field communication, which is a plus sign. We also have FM radio, and the GPU is the Mali G52. While using this camera, it can detect what you are looking at and it will adjust its setting to what it feels like that subject looks like. For example, when you point it at the plant, it will detect that that is a plant and adjust its color science to fit that of a plant. If you're pointing it to a human being, it's going to adjust its color to that of a human being skin tone so that it can capture impressive images. So when I pointed it at my tripod, it detected it as a pet. The Tecno Spark 10 Pro is a good looking phone, that's for sure. It's an impressive phone to use and it's a great buy for the price that it is being sold at. But there are some things that could be done better. The 18-watt charger included in the box. Another thing is the plastic frame. The plastic frame really feels cheaper on this phone. It's unfortunate that Tecno included a plastic frame on this phone. Another thing that I didn't like about this phone was the mono speaker. The single firing speaker, it's tiny. I was hoping for a stereo speaker. And there are some things that I loved about this phone. For example, the design. The design is amazing. For a 2023 phone, this design is top-notch. The screen specs are also impressive, and the inclusion of the headphone jack is a plus for me. Hope you enjoyed this video, and a sub to the channel will be amazing. Cheers, let's catch up in the next one.